Hey everybody, how's it going? Haven't done a show in a little while, so figured I would do one of our secret shows. We do these just about every Sunday. Sometimes they pop up other times. So if you're interested in this channel, click the notification bell. That way, whenever we do these little pop-up shows, you get a notification. You can come on in, stop by, say hi. All right. As always with these secret shows, I have a very special guest. He's on pretty much every show that we've done in quite a few years. It's my good friend, Frankie MacDonald. How's it going, Frankie?
I'm doing great so far. And did you hear about that? It's going to bring really hot temperatures all across the eastern United States early in the week. Plus, the heat wave's going to break up for now in the western North Pacific Northwest. And Houston, Texas is so dry lately, causing so much dry weather in Houston, Texas. So humid there where Trey Campbell was at. It was really, really hot there right now. It's going to bring a brief cool air and hot air fighting each other in Ontario, in the Great Lakes region, in Dayton, Ohio, and all these places. California's so hot lately, bringing lots of thunderstorms, bringing monsoon rains in Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, Utah, and all these places in southwestern United States, bringing a lot of thunderstorms and rain, Venezuela, the Amazon rainforest, and up around Central America, like Guatemala, Honduras, and Panama, and now El Salvador, Costa Rica. They're bringing so much dry weather in Brazil and bringing a lot of dry weather in northern Chile. They're bringing rain, snow in all across southern Argentina and Chile, snow in the mountains in southern Chile. Over in the UK, they're bringing lots of showers and things like this, bringing a lot of rain in all across Vancouver, bringing lots of showers in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada on Wednesday. And it's going to bring hot weather all across Europe and the United Kingdom. And it's going to France and all those places in Europe. It's going to be really, really hot temperatures. And over in Japan, they're bringing lots of showers and thunderstorms in Japan and rain and things like this. Same with China and those places in Taiwan and Philippines and Thailand and all these places bringing so much showers and thunderstorms there right now. It's a lot of rain in Nigeria and all these places. So much dry, dusty air. Sandstorms coming off the west coast of Africa, driving all sand all the way down to southern states, including Sydney, Australia. Is bringing lots of cold weather and rain and snow in southeastern Australia. In Queenstown, New Zealand, they're bringing a lot of rain and down in New Zealand and South Island, New Zealand. They're bringing snow in Queenstown and up in the mountains areas in New Zealand. South Africa, it's getting warm and cold air fighting each other in South Africa as well. In Mozambique, Madagascar, in Uganda, they're still in the dry season. Same with Zimbabwe and all these places. They're in the dry season right now in Mozambique, Madagascar, La Reunion, and Mauritius Islands. This is their dry season right now. And today is the last of the month in July. And did you hear about that? Roger the Wild Child Show is returning. Hollywood edition on August 31st. Roger the Wild Child Show, Hollywood edition, according to Roger the Wild Child. And he's doing good in these days. And did you hear about that? And Trey Campbell's doing great in these days. It's really, really, really hot in Houston, Texas. Antarctic ice caps are melting, and the Arctic ice is melting as well. Pretty soon, up in Greece fjord, none of it will be getting some sunset and some darkness in the end of August. The North Pole will be starting to get darkness again in September. Then we start to get daylight in Antarctica once again because fall starts on September 22nd.
Hey, Frankie, we have another special guest. It's one of my favorite people that I met through you. It's there she is.
Hi,
How you
Imogen.
doing? It's Imogen. I said that right, right? Okay, thought so. How's it going today?
Imogen, you have to unmute.
Yeah, we can't hear you. Make sure that's not on my end. Okay. No.
It's on the technical difficulties on her side.
Yeah.
She has to press the microphone button.
That's right. All right. I'm going to put you back in the background here for a second and finish talking to Frankie real quick. All right, Frankie. We're going to have her in the background just for a minute, see if she can get her microphone going. If not, maybe we can we can get her off the stream and then bring her back in, see if that fixes things. So, have you got any? Did you do anything interesting this weekend, Frankie?
That means I'm on a. That means I was on Gary and Dino's show in Phoenix,
Nice.
Arizona, on Zoom. That means Gary and Dino, he runs a podcast in Phoenix, Arizona.
Nice. I've heard of that show. I think you brought it up to me before. All right, we're gonna see if we can hear her now. Not yet. All right. Can you hear us, Imogen? Okay, cool. All right. Hey, sometimes these things happen. I'm going to take you off the stream, just re-enter, and we'll see if that fixes it. All right. All right, Frankie. So you were on, Dan and Dino show, right?
Gary and Dino show.
Ah, Gary and Dino. Sorry,
and guess
man.
what? Base Guy Show is back on Wednesday afternoons. Jack Casey, aka Base Guy Show, he's back on Base Guy Show on Patreon.
Sweet. I haven't been on. I think I was on Base Guy Show once, and that was me and you on there. That was a lot of fun, man. How's he doing?
He's doing good in these days. I'm on his show on every Wednesday afternoon. It's Base Guy Show.
All right, let's see if we can bring her back on.
She needs to reboot the computer.
Yeah, we still can't hear you. I know what you could try. Just go to the bottom, go all the way to the right, click that, and then go down to audio and scroll over and then choose your microphone from there. I used to have problems with that myself, so I can't blame you.
Let's try that.
There you are.
Imogen, you're here.
Son of a bitch, it works.
How's it going?
Okay. Better now that software is the bane of my existence.
I
don't get along with anything that plugs in, apparently. I'll stick with coffee.
I got my coffee here too. Did you do anything fun this weekend?
I cleaned up a biohazard, so that was awesome.
Wow,
so,
really?
Yeah.
How did that happen? What's going on with that?
One of my... I see, no one really knows what exactly I do or how I pay my rent. This is a kind of a fun thing. I appreciate keeping a little mystery going. But one of my gigs is that I actually do a little bit of biohazard cleanup from time to time, and that can be chemicals. It can be human remains. It can be crime scene cleanup or chemical spills. It can be a lot of things. So a level 1 biohazard is that it's very small, fairly easy to navigate, not particularly toxic, but still there are precautions that have to be brought in. So I did a level 1 biohazard cleanup yesterday, and today I'm going to go rebuild some gym equipment. And then I've got some other work to do doing the back end on my website, because I need to develop my website a little more and get more product profiles up.
Yeah, so, variety's the spice of life, I guess. But how did you get into that?
Well, a long time ago, I worked for a cleaning company. Cleaning up one of my clients was actually a mall. So I was a mall janitor. And this was a mall in a pretty lousy neighborhood. And so there was a lot of, I would find leftovers from girls turning tricks in the bathrooms, narcotics, paraphernalia, the occasional crime scene. The first time I was on the job where I had to clean up blood was after there was a stabbing. And security didn't know what to do with it. They're mall cops. They have zero authority. They're not really trained to deal with stuff like that. So I looked at it. I know enough about, I've got enough of a colorful background that dealing with it didn't bother me. And they're very cautious going, it's in an ATM vestibule, and they're looking at it going, I don't know what to do with this. Maybe you can call your boss and see. I don't know how to proceed. I go, dudes, I got this. Put on my protective gear, went in with my, hospital grade sanitizer and disinfectants, hosed everything down top to bottom within 15 minutes. Blood spatter that went floor to ceiling and covered all the ATMs is gone. And they're like, we'll give you some time. I'm like, you know what? I'll do what I can. Go get a coffee. Guy comes back 10 minutes later and it looks like pristine. And I'm
Nice.
taking off the gloves and taking off the hazmat and stuff for, the gear I was wearing. They come back, they're like, what did you do? I'm like, just did my thing.
Oh, did you have to get certified for that, or is that just something that you learned while you were getting trained for the mall cleanings and stuff?
It's just something that, well, when you live a colorful life, you learn a lot of things. So,
I feel you there.
so it's just sort of something that I picked up, and I do work for a company that is certified to deal with biohazards. They have done, not exactly, the specifics of body removal is that there's like coroners are the ones who take away the bulk of the material, but then there's pieces left behind sometimes, or sludge and fluids. There's a lot of human matter and remains that get left behind that the coroner isn't going to be picking up. So that's where we come in and we do that. Other times it's healthcare. So if someone goes to the hospital, they're in there for a long time, they're in with like mental health issues, physical disabilities, diverse abilities, etc. Their home can fall into disrepair. And before they're allowed to go back home, someone from the hospital has to go and inspect. And there are things that a lot of people who have compromised health cannot do or maintain. A lot of times people will have, an accident. They can't get to the bathroom on time, stuff like that. So there will be excrement tracked throughout the home, or, depending on the nature of what's happening, there's a lot of other materials. So cleaning bodily fluids, if it's a hospital call, it might be that, someone was bedridden for a period of time and there's materials in the area where they're going to be sleeping. So that's where we come in, we go in, we sanitize, we disinfect, we make everything safe for them to come back to a clean and sanitary environment so that they have the best chance of recovery. So a level 1 biohazard might just be that it's, maybe there's been an incident where there's some chemicals everywhere, or it might be that it's a hospital call and someone is coming home after a major surgery and they need the home cleaned. So that's one of the things that I do.
All right. I have to ask you. You mentioned various body parts being left behind.
Yes.
And did you hear about another podcast called Angie TV?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I guess maybe we should move away from body parts being left behind.
hey, that's my jam. I live my home is basically a haunted house. It's I got all sorts of wild stuff around here. So
Nice. Yeah, Frankie, I've heard of Ange TV. I think me and him follow each other on Instagram. Seems like a good dude.
Angie's a doll.
Yeah, I would like to have him on the show sometime. I think we were going to do a thing where I was going to be on his show, he was going to come on mine, and then I haven't really talked about this lately. I guess I probably should address this. If this was going to be a secret show, a lot of times
What about Roger the Wild Child? The guy who runs the Roger Gardner, aka Roger the Wild Child. He's running two shows: Roger the Wild Child Show Nashville Edition and Roger the Wild Child Hollywood Edition.
Nice. Yeah, I'd like to be on those shows. But real quick, one thing I do got to say, I was going to have Ange on, and if he's listening, this will explain a lot. But I haven't been doing a lot of live streams lately, and that's because I've been going through some stuff pretty much in pain from my head to my toe, getting things squared away. That all starts on Tuesday, and going to soldier through. I'm going to be just fine, but that's one reason I haven't had Ange on or been on his shows. I don't do a whole lot of shows, but this Thursday we're going to get right back at it. Going to have a show Thursday with Little Lemmy and Jesse Towler. That's going to be a lot of fun, and I'd love to have Imogen on sometime soon too. Well, she's on now.
And did you hear about that? You might get Sam Dawkins, the Don and Mantis podcast guy,
Nice.
on your show. Sam Dawkins, the Don and Mantis guy. What about Shuli Yeager?
I don't know who that is.
Shuli Yeager.
Comedian.
Comedian
okay.
Shuli Yeager.
Canadian?
Comedian.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pretty funny guy. He's got some really good material. Definitely worth looking up.
All right. I'll have to do that. Is that a friend of yours, Frankie?
And
You
I
both
was
know
on
him?
his show, the Shuley Show. What about that other guy named? And what about some of those compound media guys like Anthony Cumia?
Hey, you know him?
Frankie,
I heard of him.
Oh,
you
okay.
heard of him? Have you been on a show with him?
I was on in Hot Water Show with Gino Bisconte.
Is Anthony on that?
I have I know Gino. I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't say much about Gino. So what was your experience with Gino? How'd that go?
He's a nice guy.
All right. Well, that's good to hear. Have you been on Compound Media, Imogen?
No, I haven't. I'm not familiar with that one. What is?
Okay. Have you
The
heard
guys
of
that's running the
Opie and
show.
Anthony?
Yep.
Okay. It's hosted by Anthony Cumia.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He
Yeah.
owns that business.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's
What
got a
about-
bunch of shows on there.
Nice.
What about the other show called El Nino Storm Hunters podcast? Chris Chiddick, he gave up El Nino Storm Hunters podcast. He's doing storm chasing.
Nice.
Very cool. Can't go wrong with a tornado in the face.
Just
That's
imagine if you get the Canadian Prime Minister on your show.
I would love that, man. That would be awesome.
I'm a feminist. I'm a feminist. I groped women and I dated my students when I was a teacher, but I'm a feminist. He'd be a fun one, that's for sure.
And
So
where's
would
Trey Campbell?
Face, to show how woke he is.
Yeah. Do you know the Prime Minister, Frankie? Have you ever interacted with him at all? You seem to know a lot of people in different places that I'm not expecting you to know people, so it wouldn't surprise me at all. I think he's texting him.
I just sent that to Trey.
Oh, okay. I thought you were texting the Prime Minister the link or
I'm
something.
just texting to Trey
Oh
Campbell.
no,
Okay.
the Prime Minister is going to be texting Frankie asking for the link. Frankie's not messaging him.
I'm messaging Trey Campbell.
All right, Imogen, you're really into fitness. We can see your equipment right behind you.
Yep.
What got you into that? I like fitness too. I just
Yeah.
I do more yard stuff now, so I don't really work out as much as I probably should. But I get the farm boy workout in.
What about that Janet girl from the Cape Breton Regionals?
Yeah, we had her on. She was on a secret show like 2 months ago or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, well, with fitness, the Farm Boy workout is really solid. You cannot go wrong with that. The cool
Yeah.
thing about that is that it's organic movement. You get that natural. One of the problems a lot of people run into with the gym routine is they stay too rigid in the structure. And your muscles look great, but when it comes to functional use, there's limitations. So, like when you lift something, you're moving rocks. You lift a rock, you throw it, your muscles move in a really natural way. You use the full range of what they can do. In the gym, you're stuck in one routine. Like it's one lift, one movement, unless you change your grips and modify and do variations, which a lot of people don't do. They get stuck in that routine. It means you look great, but your muscles are functionally weaker because you don't have that it's not fully developed. The farm boy,
You don't have like a full range.
exactly. You're strong with one movement, weak as hell with another. With the farm boy routine, it's fully developed. You're working. You're actually using your muscles functionally and developing like an overall strength, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's funny you gave a rock example because last week I spent my time building a rock garden, and I've been shoveling a lot of gravel and stuff. I'm making a walkway around the house and a thing for my trash cans. So it was kind of funny you brought that up because that's exactly what I've been doing the last week and a half.
Hucking rocks is actually like one of the best things you can be doing. But you've got a heavy rock, you bend down, you're using a good form, so you're not going to hurt your joints or pull anything. So just using a healthy form to protect yourself that way, you do get that full range of motion. You do get a full body thing. And that's one of the things that actually a few years ago, it became this big kind of trend in fitness that, people would just go out, like go to the beach, pick up rocks and throw them. There was actually classes people were running where it's like, you sign up for a class and you're just lifting heavy stuff and moving it. And, you go to the beach, you'd see 20 people at the beach picking up rocks and throwing them and picking up like driftwood and like flipping it end over end. And that's, it's a big part of sort of like the rationale behind CrossFit, like the battle ropes and the giant tire, stuff like that, is to get that full range of movement and to develop the muscles in a really universal way, which is super cool. For me, where I kind of got into it was that I used to be fat. I was about 80 pounds heavier than I am. And I mean, 200 pounds isn't huge, but on my frame it was. And the way that it happened was that I looked pregnant. And this is where I learned an interesting thing. It was kind of a social experiment that came out of this. Was I'd go to the grocery store and, oh boy, people are real upfront about groping pregnant ladies. And
I thought that was where you were headed.
Yep. And I got this big belly and I got the waddle. And so I'm kind of doing this, like the pregnant waddle. I'm like, my knees hurt, my joints hurt, and I'm having trouble breathing. It's just, I'm not meant for that kind of weight. Some people are, I'm not. And at some point I was in physical distress to a point where I'm like, I have difficulty breathing. Everything hurts all the time. And like everything else in life, I got angry and spite kicked in. And I started swearing at my fridge. I would swear at my food. And, I had the worst diet. And I look at I'd have like a couple of cheesecakes in front of me. And I'm like double fisting cheesecake in my face. I'm just like, oh, this is delicious. I'd wake up drooling Twizzlers. Gummy bears melted. Like I found a gummy bear jam behind my ear one day. I'm like,
wow.
Oh, God, I'm disgusting. And so one day I'm like, I look at this big moat of candy around my bed. I'm going, fuck you all. I don't need y'all. I don't need your love, gummy bears. And I started like whipping gummy bears out the window.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm like, and I got angry and I like a year or two later, I was more focused on like bodybuilding. And then a couple of years after that, like I dropped 80 pounds in like 6 months. My skin was hanging, like it was bad. And then I tightened up, focused on that, and then just like did a couple of bodybuilding competitions, got really focused on the science of it. Okay. But at the peak of the fat, oh boy, people at the grocery store, women were horrible. Ladies would come up and like touch my belly. Strange women I don't know are groping my stomach and going, oh, I remember being pregnant. How long ago did you have the baby? Because it was soft and kind of hangy. Mm-hmm. And this was where my natural mouthiness came out. And I look at them and say quite loudly, enough to draw attention. I'd go, oh, I'm not pregnant. I'm just fat. Like, oh, and they turn red. I'm like, that's right. You just groped a fat girl. Oh, I'm so sorry. You were comfortable groping a baby?
Well, we got somebody in the background. I'm going to bring him on in just a second. But awesome. I have to ask Frankie this.
Yep.
Frankie, have you ever cussed out your food?
I like pizza, Chinese food.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever cussed out a meal before.
You know what? It was a real key thing in mentally taking control of the situation, because I'd be having a craving, and the craving wasn't driven by the need for nutrition. The craving was driven by everything else that led to unhealthy eating. It was driven by discomfort, depression, anxiety, stress, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'd be comfort eating. And so I'd look at it and I'm like, and I would say, and I developed this mantra where I'd look at it and I would say, I don't need you.
Anyways, Jason, I'm taking off now. I'm going to give you my websites. My Twitter's at Frankie McD. My Facebook is Frankie Down. My Instagram is Frankie McD984. My TikTok's Frankie Down 984. My Twitch is Frankie Down 984. My Clapper's Frankie Down 984. My Snapchat's Frankie MACDON. And my LinkedIn's Frankie Down. And my YouTube channel's Dogs and Wolves. Best luck here. I'm Frankie Down. You're listening to We Don't Have Cookies Radio Show.
Have a great day, Frankie.
I love it.
Hey,
Frankie's the best. What's up, Trey?
How you doing? Frankie,
good,
Frankie dipped kind of soon. I was surprised. But
yeah, usually he'll be the last one to leave sometimes.
That's what I figured.
Hey, Trey, have you ever cussed out your food?
The only time I've ever cussed out my food is when I try to take it out of the microwave and it falls and it gets all over the place, that's when I've done that, or I've at least cussed at my food. Because, like, I'll be really excited to eat this meal, and then I'll take it out of the microwave, and it'll fall down, and I'll go into a rage.
I think yeah, I can't blame you there. That is frustrating.
Yeah, I've kind of been Pavloved by my mom. She would always freak out anytime something got spilled. So anytime I spill something, I go into like a blind rage, because my mom would always get really upset anytime something spilled. So
Gotcha. Man, that chair looks really comfortable. I wish I had a chair like that.
yeah, it's a pretty good chair. I just got back home. I'm really, really happy to be sitting here in my chair. We just moved, I started just cleaning and I moved everything around. So, but yeah, this is a great chair.
Yeah, it looks very comfortable.
Yeah, it's not bad.
You're melting.
Have either of you two tried comedy?
Funny you say that. I've done my first 2 open mics the last 2 weeks. So
Oh wow.
I go on Sundays. I watch a lot of the open micers and I try to riff off what they say, but because that's usually a lot of them aren't very good.
Oh God, no. God, open mic is a train wreck.
True.
It is wonderful. It is that way.
Yeah, they have like a list that you sign up for, and like once they bring out the list, everybody just rushes over there, and it's like they're all a bunch of like vultures stalking a dead cat or something.
It is kind of strange. See, here we just we have to email in, they put you on the list, so it's not, you don't sign up at the club, but
Yeah.
I can only imagine it's probably usually the same people always signing up too, so it's kind of weird to see them run to it, because you're going to get your time no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be enough people for the list, but like I've noticed a lot of places they'll like message me and they'll be like, "Hey, you want to sign up?" And I'll be like, "Okay," and I'll sign up and I'll just kind of go. But it's gone well. People said I've done good. So, anytime I go up there, it's just kind of like blurry, and I don't really remember most of it. But they say I've done good. So, but it's fun. I like doing it a lot. Like, it's fun.
It's a good feeling when you do well.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially like when you do well and after you do well, like when I got home, I was like, I can't even sleep. I gotta like write more stuff down. So
adrenaline, man. Being on stage, it gives you adrenaline.
Yeah, big time. So
yeah, I remember I did a show once. I think I went up at 10 p.m. and I couldn't sleep till 4 a.m., man. And I had like a 8-minute set or something. I mean, it was pretty short, but man, you get that going through you, and it's the best feeling in the world. You'll be up all night, so that's good. You're on your way, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've only been doing like 5-minute sets, but the host is always kind of getting drunk, and he's not really into it, so he'll just kind of like disappear into the background, and he'll come back like 7 minutes later with the light, and I'll be all like, that was longer than 5 minutes. I was not prepared for that.
Well, to be fair, the MC is there every single night. He sees a lot of the same comics with the same material.
Yeah, and it's usually really bad.
Well, open mic is where comedians go to work out new material and to get it a little more fine-tuned, so that when they're going to do an actual set for a paying audience, they've got it tuned. They can go by the reactions of whoever is there. They can get input from other comedians and so on. Like,
yeah, that's true.
So the MC, he sees the same people.
Yeah.
Start with shit and try to develop it. And sometimes they do, and a lot of the time they don't.
Yeah, most times they don't, from what I've noticed. And it's so funny because they'll like be all like, "Oh, okay, that one didn't go well." And anytime it doesn't go well, they'll like look at their phone, and I'm like, "Boy, this is kind of hard to watch. I don't know if I want to keep doing this." But I don't know. It's always good to, I guess, like see them perform because like it lets you know that you can do it too. But
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
it's
that's
fun.
very true.
If you ever want to feel better about yourself, go to an open mic night.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we had a guy here that he thought it would be fun. It was his first time ever doing an open mic, and he was really bad. And he thought it would be funny to the stage. You know how comedy clubs are, like the tables are right up against the stage for the most part.
yeah,
And he thought it would be funny if he walked off the stage and onto a table to do. I don't even know what he's talking about. Uh, he walks off the stage and tries to step on a table, and the table just slumps underneath him, and he falls. And that was probably the best laugh he got all night. And of course, he
yeah,
was done after that. But
yeah. That
hey,
at
that was
that
a good
point,
closer, man. It got everybody
yeah,
laughing.
at that point, he might as well just look into sales, you know.
Punctuate with a paramedic.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like like I was excited the first time because I got like a lot of good like feedback from people. They were all like they said it was really good and that if I kept at it, I don't know, but it's hard to really know who's telling you the truth and who's just bullshitting with you because
Yeah, a lot of comedians are notorious liars, at least in my
yeah,
experience.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
It's a hostile, bitter, angry, loathsome crowd. I love
Yep.
comedians for that. Like, if you ever want to see a hateful bunch, hang out with comedians.
Yeah, they'll be all like, "Oh man, that was great," and then like as soon as you leave, they'll be like, "That was the worst fucking set I've ever seen."
Oh, yeah. They'll
Yeah.
tell you you're doing good when you're sucking out loud because they don't want the
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
buddy of mine, he hung out with some famous comedian. This was years and years ago. And all they did, he saw him at the bar and he walked up to him and was like, "Hey, man, I'll buy you a drink." And I don't know what the guy was thinking. I think he thought if you're funny on stage, you're just funny every moment of your life.
Right.
And he was like, "Man, I can't believe how, like, that guy was all depressed and he was so, like, angry and weird." And I thought, yeah, they pretty much all are.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know if you
essentially.
know this, but it's all an act up there. That's, they don't just get out of their car and run up there and just start talking. This is all pre-planned shit, man.
Yeah. Usually they've got it all written down and they've been memorizing it at their at wherever they've been. That's what I've been doing. I've just been memorizing it. But yeah, a lot of like my friends Radu and all them, they're just all like, man, these guys are awful, and they're so like, but at least they tell them that when they see them, they don't say, oh, that was great. They just straight up say that sucked. You got to stop.
Honesty goes a long way. And like with a lot of comedians, there's a lot of addiction, there's a lot of alcoholism, there's a lot of really intense depression, and comedy is a really good coping mechanism for a lot of people dealing with difficult stuff. Greg Giraldo, I don't know if you know that name or not, amazing comedian, was a severe addict, passed away from an overdose a few years ago, and he was a lawyer, he was a very successful lawyer, but he was just so afflicted with depression and alcoholism, and his addiction was so rampant. But comedy was definitely one of those avenues where he just absolutely shined. He became the highlight of the Comedy Central roasts. He was the one where like the everyone we talking about, they're like, yeah, that dude, he made that joke, he said the thing, like, yeah, he was amazing. And then when he passed, people talking about him were like, people around him were more surprised that he lived as long as he did because of the severity of his depression and addiction, and he couldn't get out from under it. But it really embodies his story really kind of highlights and embodies what's really common with comedians, is that they're not cheerful clowns in regular life. A lot of them are not. Some people are, obviously, but to a hefty degree, there's a lot of sadness and bitterness and depression. And I mean, they're awesome to hang out with.
Yeah.
If you got that kind of, if you're bent that way, it's a great crowd. But for for if you're expecting like, nature's little clowns, no.
No, yeah.
It's a whole lot of like, get away from me, fuck you. I'm not here
just want to be left alone. Yeah,
leave me alone.
Go sit around and play video games. You can text me if you want.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember Stephen Brody Stevens.
Of course, one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah, he was great. I was, oddly enough, man, the year he died, I was wanting to have him on my show in June for Mental Health Awareness Month, or I forget the exact name of it, but you get the point. And see, I struggle with depression really bad, and Brody did too. I mean, he was notorious for that. And he did a buddy of mine's show, Darren Carter. I don't know if you guys know him, but he was on Darren's show, and that's how I was hoping. I thought, it would be a good crossover thing to have him on my show for the mental health awareness, because he suffered from it. And Brody seemed like he was doing great, man. I remember listening to Brody talking on the show, and I was going through it back then. And I thought, Jesus, man, if Brody can do it, so can I. Like, we're going to stick through this together. And then, like, just days later, Brody hung himself. And that was kind of...
That really affected a lot of people, too. Like,
hell yeah, it did.
Like, he was like one of the cornerstones of at the Comedy Store, because, like, he was always at the Comedy Store, if I remember correctly. He was always hanging out around there and doing a lot of his sets, and people loved him. And he had a unique way of doing comedy that only he could do it in. And I miss him a lot. I think about him a lot too, because like that's one of my favorites, because like I could just tell though, like when you'd see him talk at his bad times or on those periscopes, he'd just be like, it would be sad. It would be hard to watch. But
sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I'm sorry about that.
The other thing he always did is he always preached positivity. And it was just so, it was kind of sad to see somebody always talking about how you should be upbeat and happy, and knowing like behind the scenes,
Yeah. I think he had a little bit of spectrum to him. Like, I think he was kind of on the spectrum a little bit. Stephen Brody Stevens was, because he would always say, I have adult onset autism, and it would always kill. But I think he was undiagnosed, because he had a lot of the traits you'd see in somebody with maybe Asperger's or something. Because anytime he would talk to somebody, he would just go on these long rants about his high school days. And
for a lot of adults, I mean, what's known about autism now was not known when we were kids. So for someone my age, Jason's age, Jason, how old are you? Roundabouts.
55.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're not that far off. So
damn. You can believe that really quick. That was supposed to get a little bit of a laugh. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So for anyone our age, when we were kids, autism was only really diagnosed in more severe cases. So if there's a lot of physical behaviors, a lot of outbursts, a lot of developmental hindrances, that's when it would be diagnosed. For a lot of kids who weren't at that level, they were sort of quantified as being sensitive, shy, creative, colorful, or the dreaded, kid's just going to grow up to be gay.
Right.
That was a big one. Like with little boys who were really shy and had social difficulties, they were often actually branded as being queer. And then that created a whole other world of problems for them. But that was actually really common. And it turned out, I mean, these are social attitudes that really didn't know how to make sense of certain behaviors. A lot of kids who had those behaviors and triggers and whatnot, and issues with learning disabilities or learning in different ways, that's now quantified as being markers of autism, of different forms of ASD. So there was no support. And what happened, what is really common, is that kids of our generation and previous would often have a lot of alcohol and addiction issues. There would be a lot of depression and mental health problems that were secondary, because they didn't have the skill set to navigate the world with the tools they had. And so for a lot of people, when the world seems odd and you drink, now the alcoholism is a tool that makes sense of why the world seems the way it does.
Yeah.
And people understand, oh, okay, the guy's had a few drinks, that's why he's a little odd. And so it's coping mechanisms. And so for a lot of adults, I mean, we can quite comfortably joke and say, oh yeah, I'm probably just on the spectrum somewhere. And for a lot of people, that's in fact true. It's not diagnosed, because as an adult, I mean, you know, in Canada, you have to pay a shit ton of money to deal with a diagnosis. And a lot of people who grew up with diverse abilities that fit ASD, post-secondary education or a lot of job opportunities are very difficult. It can be difficult to navigate and maintain a job, for example. So being able to access the proper medical care or support, we just don't have it here. It's not available to a lot of people. So yeah, so there's a lot of, you know, a lot of adults can, you know, joke about it and say, undiagnosed autism or adult onset autism. And there's probably something to it. It's just, you know, we don't have the paperwork to verify it or quantify it and whatnot. So the information now available is fantastic for dealing with stuff like that preemptively.
It's much better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I was a kid, they didn't have anything like that. And I had a really hard time reading because I got some dyslexia, and I don't think anybody ever really thought about that as far as where I was, you know, in school. I don't think anyone they might not have ever even heard of dyslexia. I was just told I wasn't trying hard enough and I needed to focus. And it's like, man, I am trying. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I can't focus anymore. Like, the words are right there and I'm reading what's in front of me and it's not what's in front of me. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Which really hurt when we were singing Christmas songs, because I was always singing about Satan instead of Santa.
Really? That's funny. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I'm sure they didn't like that too much. Yeah. but yeah, that's funny too. Like when I had I have dyslexia too. So when I like read things, I had to like read it more than once to like understand what the
numbers
word
are the
is.
worst, man.
Yeah, like if it'll be like I always get the one confused with an I. I always think an I is a 1, or if it's like an initial, like if it's like like somebody's the third, I think it's like 3 I's. So I'll see like their
numerals.
Yeah, Roman numerals are tough. I'll be like IV, or it's just like I can't. Roman numerals are the worst for me because I always say the letters. And
nothing wrong with that. And let's face it, most people can't read Roman numerals to save their life.
Yeah,
that's true.
And algebra was tough too, because like the numbers were hard enough, and now the letters are there too, and I can't keep up. So
all right, sorry to cut and run. I just got a message. I got to get going. I got to go clean up some gym equipment.
All right.
This beauty queen behind me is about to get a sexy little girlfriend that's twice the size.
Nice.
My baby likes them big and thick, so I'm bringing in another weight stack and a whole fuck ton more gear. This is awesome. So I'm on my roll. I'm about to double down on my supplements and then go double down on my gear. Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's good to have you on. It's been a while, so it was nice to see you.
Damn right. Anytime. Send me the link.
Right.
You got my contact. Very few people do. I mean, social media, but whatever. It happens. All right.
All right. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, have a good one.
Oh, quick effing promo. VenerateSups.ca. Beautiful sugar-free whey protein. I tried my chocolate truffle for the first time the other day, and I did not know what to expect, but I am so happy. So happy. It is sugar-free, but it doesn't taste like it. So,
Nice.
yeah. I just got to be careful to not eat too much because there's no benefit in overdoing it.
Right.
Have you ever cussed it out?
Not this stuff. Well, when I tried it, I'm pretty sure the neighbors thought I was like doing something dirty over here because I'm screaming, "Oh fuck yeah!" So
I love it.
you know what? I don't even really like chocolate. So I mixed a glass and I'm like, don't know what to expect. The vanilla milkshake. Oh yeah, that one. I'm like, I love vanilla. So let's try that. Okay, awesome. As expected, chocolate. I'm like, I don't like chocolate. I'm not going to be a good barometer for this. I tried it. I'm going, oh fuck, that's good. Mixed it with raspberry juice. I'm like, oh no, I've got Black Forest. I'm all like shaky legged and sweating and just like, oh, I need more. Ready for round 2.
Yeah,
I don't think I've
that does
ever
sound
seen
good.
raspberry juice in the store ever.
I don't
Really?
think so either.
Yeah.
Oh shit, maybe it's a Canadian thing. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
like we've got raspberry juice. It's
I always see cranberry juice.
Yeah.
How about cherry? Y'all get cherry where you are?
I don't think so.
Not really.
I've never seen cherry juice either.
Yeah, I've seen it, but it's not really a popular thing.
It might
Real quick before you go,
Yeah.
where you live, do they sell milk in bags?
Not anymore. They phased it out. Very few people were actually. It's kind of a sanitary thing. You get your juice jug. You put your bag milk in it. You cut the corner open, and it doesn't seal. And it knocks over easily in the fridge, or you get bacteria in there. There's too much room for infection, so it's kind of been phased out. As of like 3 years ago, I saw it in the store, and it was pretty much. There's only a few people were buying it. It was like really elderly people who'd been doing it their whole life. They were in a routine. As far as I know, we actually still have one milk producer here. We actually have like a couple of different. Where I live, we manufacture a lot. Like there's farmland all up the island. We have dairy. We have like meat farms. We have agriculture. Just everything here. But there was a milk. There are a couple of milk processing plants here that still do delivery. So there's one that actually does delivery, and it's almost exclusively seniors who have mobility issues and whatnot that get the service. And that's why they've kept it, is that Victoria is a retirement city. So we have a very high population of senior citizens and people who have limited mobility. So we do have a few things here that are not common. Also, part of our tourism is restaurants. We have gardens and restaurants. So we do have and it's a port city. So there's a lot of multicultural foods available here, a lot of ethnic foods, restaurants, and ingredients. And we also do, because there's so much food production, there's a lot of ingredients available here, such as raspberry juice, cherry juice, mango juice, stuff like that, that you probably wouldn't find in a lot of other places. So, it's...
I was just always fascinated that there was bagged milk in Canada. Because I did a show with a guy like 2016, and that was a big thing with us. And then he would ask his guests about bagged milk, and I would ask mine, and then we'd compare notes. So just had to ask while you were there.
Yeah, it's more or less been phased out, but I think that if you buy directly from one of the producers here, then they do have it available, but it's just not so much available in the grocery stores because, the sanitary thing was a big deal for a lot of people. So, and no one puts like bag clips on their milk bags. So, yeah, a lot of those bags.
It did seem kind of strange to me, but if you grow up with it, I mean, it's just commonplace. But I never heard of it till probably 5 years ago, and then I just couldn't believe it. And every time I talked to Canadian, I had to ask them. And anybody from another country, I think I asked some people in the UK and New Zealand and places. I'm like, hey, you guys got bagged milk? Because I mean, who knows? I only seen it in jugs. I never heard anybody talk about bagged milk. So maybe that's just an American thing that we put it in jugs and everybody else has it bagged.
Yeah, it might be just an American thing because we really like plastic stuff.
You know what? Plastic has its place. Everyone's ripping on plastic being bad, but like plastic bags. I mean, do you know why we had plastic grocery bags? To address forestry.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Because the plastic bags, they are reusable, and a lot of people reuse them. Plastic film. It has a tremendous ecological impact to recycle that film. So the breakdown of it releases a lot of chemicals. A lot of chemicals are required to break it down and to process it and to repurpose it. Same thing with paper. Paper recycling is horrific for the environment because there's so much chemicals that are used in it. So much water is put through it. The water is not sanitized and it gets dumped back into the environment. So paper recycling is horrific. It is not a clean process. It is not a healthy process. Plastic bags have more longevity and more use, and it could easily be argued that there's a lower ecological impact from using plastic bags than paper. Like I said, plastic was introduced to deal with, forests being cut down for the production of bags.
Right. I guess it's how it's disposed of more than anything. Like if it's thrown into the ground, it's worse.
Well, with landfills, one of the things like the landfill out here, they bring in so much waste material all the time. Every landfill does. But in the processing of the solid waste, they generate a lot of heat, which is actually used to deal with subsidized housing out here. So the landfill, they process a lot of stuff. They take a lot of reclaimable materials out of it. So it's not just that it all gets thrown into a big hole in the ground. It gets processed and ultimately it gets reduced to about 10% or less of what's brought in. So everything that's thrown in the garbage here gets reduced to a mass of about 10% or less, which is then put into a landfill. And when you're talking about tons, that's a lot. But the landfill is then covered over with dirt and turned into, it's actually turned into like parks and hills and mountains. It gets planted as forests. It gets planted as a lot of stuff. So it's not that it's a big pile of garbage with some gross old smelly dirt and seagulls over it. It gets turned into parks. It gets turned into land that is usable for construction, for housing. Forests get planted over it. So it gets put in the ground, but it's also processed down into materials that are not exactly the worst for the ground. Like we harvest metals from the ground and then we put metals back into the ground.
Right.
I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, I get it. That's a pretty convincing argument or point.
Recycling has a key place in terms of reclaiming materials and reusing things, but recycling has a horrific ecological impact as well, just by way of the chemicals that are used to sanitize the products.
Right. Yeah.
It cannot be just rinsed with water and then reformed. It has to be sanitized. Right. Otherwise, you have a lot of diseases and things that happen. Right. So recycling is not a clean, green process like we like to think it is. It's as dirty as anything else.
Well, one thing I think we can all agree on is paper straws never need to be produced again.
Yeah, I hate paper straws.
Me too. They suck.
Can be reused. There's no reason you can't reuse plastic straws. I have a little, glass with plastic straws that I wash them out every time, and they're the ones that everyone's like, oh, they're single use. No, they're not. They're only single use if you throw them out or you damage them.
Yeah,
at the very least, they're fun to stick in your nose.
Yeah, and you can chew on them. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned straws. Me and this girl went to this bar in Houston, and they didn't have any straws. And I was like, I was talking to the girl, and I was like, do they have any straws here? And she's like, no, but you don't need a straw. I was like,
they didn't have straws, but they had dollar bills, y'all.
Yeah, they had they had everything else. They had trash all over the place, but they were all like, but she was like freaking out that I wanted a straw. I was like, that's a real like California mindset you have. And she's like, no, I just give a fuck about the environment. It was really frustrating.
Oh man, we had somebody in the background. I just sent them a message to say I'd have them on in just a sec, and they dropped out before I hit send on the message. Yeah.
All right. I'm
All right.
about. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right.
you
Have a good one.
Yeah.
See you. Good seeing you again, Trey. Good seeing
Yeah,
you, Jay.
of course.
You too. All right. Well, Liam, if you're listening, hop back on. I haven't met him before. Do you know who Liam is?
I don't think so. I don't think I've met him before.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
assuming it was somebody from Frankie, but who
Yeah, it
knows?
might have been one of Frankie's because Frankie, you know how he is. You never know who'll show up. Like Frankie might have you just never know. There's so many
Yeah.
people that Frankie knows, and he just kind of sends out a mass message. He's like,
Yeah.
"You join right now." And
I love that. I love that he says "right now" so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
It sounds so forceful.
Frankie has like certain things that like he has certain phrases that he says that I'll catch myself saying. Like he'll come on, he'll be like, "Hey everybody, I got news for you." And I'll say that all the time now. He'll be like, "I got something to say." And I just say that every time like I have something to say. I don't know. But yeah.
This is pretty generic, but one of my favorite things he says that I like to say, like I said, it's not like you're going to hear it and be like, "Oh yeah, that's a Frankie thing," but he says, "Yes, great idea."
Yeah,
And it's just so sharp and to the point, man. I
yeah.
love it.
That's my
So-
favorite. I'll be all like, "Hey Frankie, I can't make it today. You wanna do it, or you wanna be on tomorrow?" And he'll be like, "Yes, great idea." I'm like, "Oh, thank the Lord." But
Yeah, that's what
yeah,
I did earlier. We usually do these at 1 p.m. Eastern, and I started to do the show, and then I sent him a message and said, "Hey, man, do you mind if we do it at 1:10?" And he was like, "Yes, great idea." And I just love getting those messages, man.
yeah, it's very fair. I guess it's very confirming, or what's the word? Comforting to
Yeah.
know that it's a great idea. You know.
So how did you meet Frankie?
Well, he was on Twitter, and back then during the pandemic, I was recording a podcast to try and learn how to broadcast and everything. And it was just something I was doing for fun on the weekends. And he tweeted something. He was like, "How many fans do I have in Omaha, Nebraska, or something?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, Frankie, I'm a big fan in Houston, Texas. Would you like to come on my podcast at some point?" And not 30 seconds later, I get a message that's like, "Yes, great idea." And he's like, "Here's my phone number." And I was like, "Wow, that was quick." So I talked to him on the phone for about 5 minutes, and he was like, "Yes, you write me a letter." And I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll write you a letter." So I wrote him like this letter. I was like, Your content's really funny. You inspire a lot of people and everything." And I just kind of wrote him a letter and sent it to him, and he's like, I'll come on next Sunday. I come on at 12 p.m. Central Time." I was like, "All right." I was like, so the first time it went really well, and I was like, "Hey, Frankie, you think I should keep recording?" It's like, "Yes, I'll come on next Sunday at 12 p.m. Central." And then for like every week, he'd be like, "Hey Trey, I'm coming. My interview is tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central." And I'd be like, "I don't know,
Yep.
Frankie. I can't do it tomorrow." I was like, "Can we do it Monday?" He'd be like, "Yes, great idea." And but he's pretty flexible. That's what I've noticed. He'll
Mhm.
work around your schedule. But yeah, he's all right. But it like in the early days, I'd be like, "Can we record today at 1?" And he's like, "No, conflict." He'd always be like,
I
"Conflict."
haven't got that one yet.
Yeah, he'd always be
Nice.
like, "Conflict." But yeah, Frankie. I think Frankie is really good at being his own booking manager and agent
Mhm.
and all in one. But yeah, it's kind of surprising. He'll come on for like maybe 5-10 minutes, and then he'll be like, "I gotta go. My social media," and then he'll just go through his social media. And
Mhm.
but
And
yeah,
he's got a
Frank.
lot of it.
Yeah, yeah. He's a best of luck to you. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a legend for sure. But
He's one of those guys where either it's going to be really quick and to the point, or he'll stick around for a little while. But It's one or the other, man. He's either going to tell you what the weather is and he's going to sign off immediately, or he's going to stick around and hang out.
Yeah. Yeah, he there's this show called the Gary and Dino show, and they have a boo zoom, and it's like 24 hours every weekend. And
Wow.
he'll go on there and he'll just hang out. Like he'll just kind of lay on the couch, and he'll just every now and then he'll just kind of be laying there and doing whatever it is he's doing, but he's just in the boo zoom, just sitting there. And then he'll be like, and then out of nowhere he'll be like, "Hey everybody, I got something to say," and he'll just start talking about the weather, and or he'll be like, "Do you know anybody in Russia?" And yeah, it's but
That is that's one of my favorite things he tweets. Do I have any fans in X, Y, and Z? And
yeah. Yeah, that's my favorite too. He'll be like, "Do I have any fans in Bogota, Colombia?" And
yeah. Or he'll ask, he'll tweet, what would happen if the world spun it like, and he'll put one, and I'm sure he just keeps putting zeros as
yeah,
much as he can.
yeah, or he'll be all like, "What if a car went 400 trillion miles an hour?" And he puts all the zeros.
Yeah.
And the Frankie, it kind of worries me sometimes though, because he'll be like, "I no longer want to be in on planet Earth anymore," and I'll get kind of worried, and I'll
Yeah.
have to text him, and then he'll be like, "I want to go to space," and I'll be a little less worried, but I'll still be
Yeah.
worried because like, but I think the shootings and everything kind of got to him. When that shooting happened in Uvalde, I was talking to him, and that really kind of that kind of got to him a little bit. That kind of tore him up a little bit, but I'm glad to see he's doing well. He'll still call me. He'll be like, "Jason
Oh,
Marshall, we don't
sorry.
have cushy." No, you're good. But
I
he'll
didn't mean to call for it. I thought I hit the mute button, but I hit
yeah,
the intro music.
yeah, that happens. I do that at work a lot because I'm a producer on the side for a radio station, so I'll hit the wrong button all the time. But but yeah, Frankie, he's great. Like there's everything about him is pretty great. You'll always it'll either yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. It'll either be you or it'll be Bass Guy show, but he'll call me and he'll be like, "Jason Marshall, we don't have cookies. It's every Sunday." And he'll just kind of like he'll I'll be like, "Yeah, that's cool. How's he doing?" And he's doing good so far. And he'll
I
just kind
love
of give
that
me a
too.
yeah, he'll give me a rundown of all the podcasts he's gonna be on. So
Yeah, that's how just about every show with me and him starts. I don't go live yet, and I ask, "Hey, Frankie, how you doing?" He says, "I'm doing good so far." And then I
yeah.
say, "All right, we're going to start the show." And I just love how every single week that's the first thing he says.
Yeah, like that's kind of become my how I greet people too now. Like just cuz he says it, he'll be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, how you doing, Trey?" I'll be like, "I'm doing good so far." It's just Frankie rubs off on you.
Yeah, he
He
does.
influences a lot of people's speech patterns that know him. But yeah, he's great.
Yeah,
But
he's just so endearing. It's hard not to imitate some of the stuff he does.
yeah, at like every and he's one of the people that has like that I know that has like no haters, like none. No, but like
Yeah.
maybe like one or two once in a blue moon. But anytime you see any of his tweets, it's just all like positive. Everybody's all like, "That's great, Frankie," or like the everybody just loves that guy, and
Yeah.
I can see
Hard not
why.
to.
Yeah, so but
Uh,
yeah, that's how I met him.
yeah, he's a good dude for sure.
Yeah,
And wow, we've been going an hour and 4 minutes. These are just if you're listening, these are usually secret shows. I do them with Frankie. Usually on Sundays at 1. Sometimes they just pop up whenever. It
yeah.
wouldn't be a secret show if we did it every single Sunday at 1, but that's
Yeah.
usually when we try to do it. And they're usually like 5-10 minute shows, and afterwards I delete them. But since we went an hour, it's probably going to stay up there.
Yeah, on you yeah, for sure. And Imogen comes on a lot of stuff too. Like Imogen's usually hanging around Frankie a lot too. There so she has a lot of I'm not too familiar with Imogen's life, but she seems to have a lot of friends too. So
Yeah,
But,
she leads a very interesting one from what I've gathered so far, and I
yeah,
don't really know her really well, so
yeah,
I'm sure there's a lot more to come.
yeah, for sure. So,
All
yeah,
right, man. Well, it was great talking to you. I'm going to wind the show down.
of
Um,
course.
Anything you'd like to promote before you go?
Well, yeah, I guess if you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter at juggalo_Trey5. I'm not a juggalo, but I just got that nickname from work. But that's my Twitter name if you want to follow me. So
All
I'm on
right.
Twitter more than anything. So
All right, man. Sounds good. It was great to have you on. Hopefully, have you back soon.
of course, yeah, I'd love to come back.
All right. Take care.
You too.
All right, guys. Well, this was the longest secret show we've ever had. So, if you're into the show, if you're subscribed, make sure you hit that notification bell. That way, when we do these pop-up shows, you get notified. Really wasn't expecting to go this long, but we will be having a show this Thursday. Little Lemmy and Jesse Tyler will be on. You're not going to want to miss that. That's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you stick around for that. I'm going to throw the graphic up. That's usually how I go out. But if you've been watching, I think you know there hasn't been a lot of shows lately. That is going to be fixed soon. That all starts this Tuesday with some stuff that I'm going to be doing outside of the show. So make sure you subscribe, get other people into the show. Make sure you hit that notification bell. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show and leave a review. See you next time.